Welcome back, everyone, to 1 Minute Recess, where we dive into news, politics, and off-the-record moments shaping Nevada and beyond. Tonight's going to be a great show. We're so excited to have you.
Hi, everyone. Remember that here on 1 Minute Recess, we are together to explore what really happens during those recesses, both on the floor in Carson City, but we also go from political drama to cultural chaos around the world, and here to ask, what the fuck is going on? So, Annette, ready to get into it?
Let's go. There's a lot to talk about this week.
Yeah. So, first segment, as per usual, is our recess rundown. It's your cheat sheet to all the drama and decision making and in between in Carson City. And Annette, once again, is joining us from there.
Yep, here I am, my house in Carson City. It's been a wild few days in Carson City. We had a really important Medicaid hearing to talk about what the federal government may or may not cut, because as you know, we have to have a balanced budget in the state of Nevada. So if Medicaid cuts happen, it could be horrifying to Nevadans all across our state. Today, we heard from some disability advocates, people who have disabilities who were testifying in front of Health and Human Services about what it would mean to their lives if that Medicaid funding gets cut. I mean, some of them will have to be institutionalized. And so the very real consequences, the very dire consequences of what happens if Donald Trump and his administration and Republicans cut this critical funding for states like Nevada was on full display in the Nevada legislature today. The big Medicaid hearing happened last week in a joint hearing between the Senate and Assembly Health and Human Services Committee. That's where all the healthcare bills go. That's where all the healthcare conversations happen. And as you probably know, Medicaid and Medicare are two very important healthcare social services that are provided to us by the federal government. A huge chunk of our budget comes from the federal government to the state of Nevada and other states across the country. It's a national program. And so if those cuts are made, it will deeply impact all people in Nevada, all across Nevada. And that would be something that Nevada could potentially never recover from. So it was pretty horrifying to watch those folks who desperately need these services talk about what could or could not happen. It made me very angry to hear that and what the federal government might do.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. The fact that we are talking about this is insane.
Yeah, you're there in Carson City, and what's the mood like of especially Republicans around the potential effects? Like, are they talking about it? Are they actually concerned? Or is it like whatever Trump does, we'll stamp it?
You know, I've heard that, we've seen articles that the governor has asked the Trump administration not to make those cuts to Medicaid and other social services. I'll believe it when I see it. I don't believe he actually means that. I think it's just because he's up for re-election in 2026. My thought process there is put your money where your mouth is, Joe Lombardo, and actually start doing something about it. So that's that. Joe Lombardo is a man who has endorsed Trump previously. He's endorsed MAGA previously, MAGA candidates previously. These are the people who are systematically dismantling our federal government and will remove these programs hypothetically if it gets to that. So I don't believe what Joe Lombardo was saying. I also have heard that people like Senator Robin Titus, who is the minority leader in the state Senate, I've heard that, she's a Republican from Northern Nevada. She's told people that she doesn't believe it and she doesn't think it's real and she thinks people are just, over dramatic about it. I don't think that nothing could be further from the truth. I mean, you see the cuts in the devastation that are happening every single day at the federal government level. I don't think this is overblown at all. I think we're not blowing it up enough, frankly.
Where is Dr. Titus living? Under a rock? In rural Nevada?
Well, right. And as she is a practicing doctor, This will disproportionately impact rural Nevada and people who need a help out in the rural communities, Northern Nevada. This is a statewide issue. This is a nonpartisan issue. This is something that all people across the political spectrum, they support the programs like Medicaid. So if these cuts really do happen, it's going to impact her constituents. And listen, I hope her constituents are watching. And I hope they hold her accountable because It's just unacceptable.
Yeah, and this reminds us of what we might do in our old job and previous jobs of like, we'll leave the contact information in the notes so that you can do that because that is disgusting. And especially as a I'm gonna do doc in quotes now doctor, because how can you be a practicing why are there balloons?
This is not a celebration.
Not a celebration. I'm not celebrating, I'm just Latin.
Oh my God.
And mad that a doctor, because she's during multiple sessions talked about like different healthcare issues and sometimes has not, necessarily been on the wrong side of things because she is a doctor. But then now, moments like now, it's like, are you a doctor or are you just blind to follow the trend?
I don't want a doctor treating me who doesn't believe in these types of programs. So that's all I know. It's just insane. And again, I go back to, we heard your very favorite bill today, baby bonds.
Yeah.
Treasurer Zach Conine's bill, one of my very favorite bills. It was a bill last session. It's a bill again this session. I was very excited to be able to support it again this session. And the problem is there's a giant fiscal note on it. So bills like that are really important that could change people's lives aren't probably going to get out, because if you think about it, with all these threats of cuts coming from the federal government right now, the potential now for those cuts to impact Nevada's budget is there, and they're not going to want to fund new programs. And that's a real shame, because that is a great bill, and that is something that both parties should support wholeheartedly, because it's an investment in young people and it's an investment in our future. So that's another bill that I was excited to support, but I am sad because I don't think it'll get through with the budget shortfalls that we might have because of the federal government.
Yeah. Thanks, Trump. Another
day, another disappointment.
Like, this could actually build generational wealth, and
Absolutely.
Thanks to Trump, we won't be able to do it.
I mean, and these are the kinds of, like, baby bonds is the kinds of good ideas our elected officials should have. I say this in a very nonpartisan way. I think Zach Conine is he's our state treasurer of Nevada. He oversees all the money in Nevada. I think he's one of the best state treasurers in the country. I am so lucky to call him a friend. I know you are too, Maria. And he just does incredible work. And these are the types of creative solutions and creative ideas we should expect from all of our politicians, regardless of their party. They should be thinking about things, like you said, to build generational wealth so that young people can go on to buy houses and maybe live whatever's left of the American dream after the stock market crashes, which we'll get to later. But, it's so refreshing to see somebody wanting to do something good and positive. And so that should be rewarded. But unfortunately, Donald Trump is trumping.
As per usual. This is why we can't have nice things.
Never.
So what else is going on in Carson City?
Well, we should talk about the film tax because she's back.
She's back, Maria. Raging.
So there's two this time. I think you'll be interested to know that, because the little tiff going on between the Assembly and the Senate. I'm just giving my hot takes here tonight because I'm not really working on this issue right now. So I've just been kind of watching from afar. It's kind of refreshing not to be in the middle of the fight right now. I did watch the entire hearing last week on Thursday night. It went till about 9:00 and I watched the whole thing. It's interesting. I think that this proposal is actually, well, obviously it's better than the stadiums. I mean, those things are still just the most ridiculous things I've ever seen in my life. And regardless of where I work or where I don't work personally, I still think the stadiums are hot garbage. So just would like to put that on the record for everybody. Those deals are horrible deals and we should have never made them. Especially the A Stadium, hot garbage. But anyways, the film tax credit is actually a very interesting thing. And it's really what those tax credits should be for, which is economic development and creating long-term sustainable jobs. Now, do I love using public money to fund this nonsense? No. Especially in the context of we have these gigantic budget cuts looming at the federal government potentially, and we're giving, rich people more money. But what I will say is this deal doesn't start until 2028, so we'll know what's on the horizon for the federal government. And the one that was presented last week, which was Howard Hughes, Sony, and Discovery, Warner Brothers. So the three of them have come together. All like big wigs from all three properties were up there. It wasn't like Fisher, who just disappeared during the A's fight, right? They actually came to Carson City and answered questions and presented the bill and went through it. And I'll also say, so this time, Sandra Howdigi is running the version that was heard last week. She's obviously the majority leader, so she has an incredible amount of power. So Majority Leader Howdigi actually brought the bill third week of session, the fourth week of session. We never saw that before with one of these deals. They always come like the last week of session, and then we have to go into a freaking special session for it. So I will say, I think they've learned something from that. To be able to get real input and real buy-in from the community, they've got to start these big bills sooner. I am hearing that there will be a second bill. The second bill will come from Senator Roberta Lang, like it did last session. I'm not totally clear on who those partners will be that bring it, what studios, all that jazz. This studio will particularly be in Summerlin in Las Vegas. I don't know what the details are with the second bill. But this is when you get into, like, it's not partisan politics anymore. It's not like Democrat versus Republican. It's the Assembly versus the Senate. And I've heard that they will not merge those bills. I think as we move through session, maybe that'll change. But there's a little bit of a pissing match going on there between the Assembly and Senate already in session. That usually doesn't happen till the end. So it's really something to kind of watch this from the outside finally and not have to like go to the table and support or opposition. And it was kind of nice just watching from afar and understanding it just as a Nevadan. It was refreshing.
I bet it was refreshing, especially because...
And I do know a lot of people who will get jobs because of this. And the potential for like funding education, the potential for like new well-paying jobs. I'm not talking like, selling hot dogs for $12 an hour, which nothing wrong with that. But these are like real careers. And so I really think the potential for this to do a lot for the economy is actually there.
Well, that's good. That does sound refreshing.
Yeah.
What's not refreshing is that the Senate and Assembly have a pissing match.
I mean, would we have it any other way? That's the Nevada way.
And that's something for people that don't have the pleasure of, like, Annette going up to Carson City is like some of the stuff that you see when you're actually there. You don't really feel it if you're not there. But, if you do your job and, if you are involved in this and go into Carson City, you really get to see the dynamics. And sometimes it really isn't partisan. It's chamber versus chamber. And we're not talking about the business chambers.
Oh, those are our friends now, remember?
Yeah.
I mean, actually, they always were. That's the secret nobody knew.
There's great people that work for all sorts. And so I heard that there's, a few other bills, like around IVF, union members and sick leave and ICE not being able to have access to schools. What are you hearing about those issues?
Yeah, so the IVF issue is with Nicole Cannizzaro, the state Senate majority leader. So she's a Dem. It's a great bill. I'm very excited that she's bringing it. I mean, she's always been a champion for reproductive health and those issues. And as a mom of 3, obviously she understands this issue deeply, intimately, because she's a mom. And so, making sure that we're protecting people's right to access in vitro fertilization, just like any other reproductive health care that they need access to, safe and legal access to without any barriers. At this point, I mean, we always knew this, Maria, but others may not. We can't trust the federal government anymore with anything, especially with our bodies, right? Especially with reproductive health care for people who need it, whether you're a woman with a uterus and you need to go get a pap smear, or you need to get, Plan B, or you need to get an abortion or birth control, whatever. That needs to be protected. The right to pregnancy also needs to be protected if you have a uterus. And then obviously our trans family needs protection as well. And so she has done a lot on these issues. And so this is kind of that next step of protecting IVF if, something were to happen at the federal level, and codifying it into Nevada law to make it harder for the Republicans to come after it, because we know that's like the next step to this. And then the sick leave bills, I'm super excited about these bills. Assembly member Yui Wynn, who is a dear friend of ours, and Assembly member Selena LaRue Hatch, who is also a dear friend of ours. They both have updates to the sick leave bills that we worked on in 2019 and subsequent sessions. And Assemblymember Wynn's bill, Yui Wynn's bill, basically makes it so people with CBAs can participate in what's called kin care. So your mom gets sick, the queen gets sick, and needs to go to the doctor, but you're covered by a CBA, but the CBA doesn't say you can take sick time to take your loved one to the doctor. This will now ensure all employees, whether they're on a CBA or not, get to use their sick leave time for taking care of family members, taking care of children, taking care of themselves, having to go to the doctor, things like that. Assemblymember LaRue Hatch's bill does something similar. It's a little more complicated with how the formulas and stuff are set up. Still an awesome bill. I testified in support of both with Moms Rising. And hers also has some retaliatory language in it so that employers can't retaliate against workers. Both bills are awesome. Both bills are hopefully moving forward. And it was great to see all of our union family turn out last week to support these bills and hopefully move them forward. And then the last one is the ICE access in schools. Obviously, that's a huge problem because we know the federal government is hurting people, coming for people, specifically who are undocumented. And so making sure that those folks are protected when they go to school and making sure that ICE can't come into the school to deport children is going to be very important going forward. And so, I think all of these bills are examples of things that the state still can be doing to make people's lives better while the federal government is completely shitting the bed. And they are. Every day it's getting worse and worse. So these are actually good, real, tangible solutions to problems that exist in the state of Nevada, and these folks are actually getting stuff done. So it's great.
That's amazing. In J.D. Vance's case, he's shitting the couch. To be clear, he's shitting the couch.
I feel like that emoji that just melts, I'm like, how is this real? How is this happening?
It's a new symbol of America.
Yeah. I just keep tweeting. Are we great yet? Did it happen yet? The stock market crashed today. Are we great yet?
When is that happening?
Maria, I got so much content for this week in my head. Every day I've just been storing it up in my head, ready to do this podcast with you.
Oh my goodness.
Maria, let's talk about something happier before we get to the real shitty stuff. I know Grassroots Lobby Days is coming up. It's one of my favorite occasions in Carson City because all my friends come up and I get to see them and spend time with them. When is Grassroots Lobby Days happening this year and how do folks sign up?
Yes, so Grassroots Lobby Days is a very special event. It is actually the event that got me interested in the legislature back when I was a wee volunteer, and it was the first legislative thing I ever attended. And many people, even legislators now will say that was the first thing I ever went to, and now here I am. So it is an event that teaches you how to be active in your legislative process here in Nevada. And it's put on by the Nevada Women's Lobby, which Annette has been a part of a while back, and now I'm a part of it since a while back as well. And we're having it on April 6th and the 7th is a Sunday and a Monday. And the reason why it's 2 days, it's because you get to go up to Carson City and not just, go up for a few hours, but you go for pretty much almost a full working day. And you get to experience the lessons of the Grassroots Lobby Days, volunteers that are going to come and train you and teach you everything. Board members from the Nevada Women's Lobby, legislators will come and talk. So you get to hear from all of them. And then on top of that, you also get to go to the legislature and put some of those learnings into practice. So that's why you have 2 days. And it is one of the most amazing experiences because Nevada is one of the most accessible legislatures, and you really get to see it in Nevada Women's Lobby Days because you get to actually meet legislators. Some people get to sit with them in the floor during floor proceedings, and you get a certificate, you get your picture. It's super cool. You get your name announced and put on the record that you were there for your district. And it is a great experience. If you really care about what happens in your home, in your city, in your state, this is the event for you because it's an institution in Nevada, this event, and it teaches you a lot. We'll put the info
And
in the
I was
link.
just gonna ask. I was like,
And where can we find it? Yeah, I'm a little I'm a little
I was gonna say, she just got off a plane, y'all, from Honduras. That's why she's a little, that's why I'm prompting her a little more than usual.
It is NevadaWomen'sLobby.org has all the information, but we'll put the short link to the actual event webpage, and you can see what is being done. Like you can see what the days are going to look like. You can register right on there, and you can also email us if you have any questions. Like if you want more info on this, you're not sure how it works, what it does. We've both not just attended, but actually helped manage it, helped the lobby manage it and put it together so we know all the ins and outs. So if you have any logistical questions about what do I wear, what do I do, what's going to happen, feel free to DM us, put it in the chat, tweet us, etc. But we'll put the information for the Nevada Women's Lobby in the notes so that you can.
And it's fabulous. It's one of my very favorite events. And you get to come to Carson City and hang out with me. So sign up today. It'll be fun.
Yay.
I'll show you around Carson City, give you all the hot gossip.
That's right. That's right.
By that time, too, things will really be popping. Things will be moving. Bills will be moving. Like, that's like the best time of session is like that early part of April because bills start moving. Houses and testimony is happening. There's a lot going on every day. I'm usually in the building till like 9 o'clock at night. So that's the exciting part of session. So you want to be there for Grassroots Lobby Days. So sign up now.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about the local lowdown. What do we know, Maria? What's happening in Nevada? What locally is happening? We need to zoom in to see what's happening locally.
Yeah, and one of the ways that we get to zoom in today, we have the pleasure of once again talking about, what is it, Annette? Doggy.
Doggy. Not Doge. Doggy.
So there is there are a lot of people out there, like the Elon Musks of the world, that believe in government efficiency, and that's what this damn doggy is supposed to be about. And we have a article, and we'll put it in the chat, in the notes, but apparently there's people that, like Governor Lombardo, that would support doggy-like reforms in Nevada. State-based doggy, because it's not enough to do it over there, but state-based here, even though we don't really have a government. It's Lombardo.
What do they want? I just don't know what they want to cut. There's no money. We don't have money to like fund basic shit like roads and cops and all the fucking shit we need every single day, like healthcare. The fuck are they? What more efficiency do they want? We already have to have a balanced budget. That makes no sense.
Literally no sense. And if people didn't tune in to our second episode with Steve Sebelius, he drilled down on how the state budget is what the line by line goes to, and not just here, but like nationally. Like, if you really want to know how to cut things, you cut it through the legislative process with the budget, because that's what actually tells you what we're going to do. That's the whole point. Literally the whole point is the budget. It's like a business.
Like their number one function when they're in Carson City is to go through the budget and predict the next budget.
What are we going to do? What are you in the administration going to do and spend money on? Here's what we're going to tell you. And so the fact that we go through this exercise session after session, but now this fucking conversation around efficiency, quote unquote, which is not efficient at all, because they cut things like Ebola protection accidentally, according to Musk. It wasn't an accident, they just slashed everything.
Also, why was he at the... I'll save it for later.
Exactly. And now some people want to bring it here, like Andy Matthews, and...
I will say, so today they heard the Inspector General conversation with Andy Matthews. I don't think Inspector Generals are actually a bad thing overall. I think anytime you can have better government transparency, or somebody who's like a watchdog, or somebody you can go to if there's a problem, that's not a bad thing, right? Like, those are typical things that governments do. A lot of governments have the inspector generals in different departments. You should have that. We wanted a student loan one at one point to kind of oversee. We also have talked about like ombudsmans too. There's like different ways to do it. I don't necessarily think it's bad on principle. I just don't think there's anything to be more efficient. We don't have any money. There's nothing to cut. We already run on shoestring budgets. Where are you going to pull couch pennies? Like that couch. Are you just going to go pick the couch pennies out? Like that's all you're going to find. I think Doge shook my table on the 3rd floor, by the way. I think that was their start. For everybody who doesn't know, my table went missing last week and I was hot to trot about it on the 3rd floor where I call my office because my office has been there for several sessions. Maria knows this. My couches and had a table that pulls up. I think Doge came and got it.
It was
the cops broke it, which is actually what happened. The fucking cops broke it.
Cops broke it?
Yeah. Not the legislative police.
I was going to say
cops. The lobbyists.
The lobbyists.
The top lobbyists, because they're too rough with it. That's like they are with human beings. Anyways.
Oh, man.
I was real pissed about it, Maria. So I keep blaming the cops and Doge. It was a great table. Anyways, I digress. It doesn't make any sense. We don't have extra money. That's stupid.
Hang on. We have a visitor.
Chulo. Chulo's our special guest on the podcast.
Chulo's a special guest. What do you think?
Chulo.
Boy, he is
chonky.
Yes, he's a big doggy. And he's
a chonker.
He forgot about something. He just walked over here like he's demanding something from me.
Kinds of noises. He's upset about Doge or Doggy too.
I think he's upset about
spelling it wrong. Yeah.
Are you upset about your people being?
He's like, Mom, why are you lumping me in with Elon Musk?
We have a new name for him in this house. It's Elon Mokos.
Oh.
Mokos is boogers.
Poor Chulo.
Yeah. He's like, don't involve me with
that weirdo.
The dogs would do a better job. The doggies would do a better job.
We've got another special guest. The Queen's chiming in now.
That was my mother. And yes, what she said is right, that Doggy is a coup. It's literally a coup. It's a coup.
So now, let's talk really quickly about the Clark County School District because they've narrowed it to 3 people.
Okay.
I don't remember the names. One of them is Joan Ebert. We knew that. Anzalone sadly did not make it. There's 2 other dudes in the running still. But yeah, my favorite now to win the contest is Joan Ebert. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
So pay attention, everyone. We're about to get a new superintendent at CCSD. Pay attention, everyone.
We'll see.
So
that's
what else?
Cool.
What else in the lowdown? Anything else local we want to talk about?
So there was something we always talk about down here, but there's something happening up in Washoe. So if you're in Washoe, let us know what you think about this issue, which is that apparently there's issues in Washoe County. There's high trial rates, but there are fewer suspected criminals being charged. And there is just a lot of confusion around what is happening with the DA and these trial rates. And it's a big deal. Like Nevada Independent covered it. There was stuff on like Twitter from or Facebook, and people that we know live up there. They've made comments about it. And it's just absolutely fascinating to see that, we were talking about the Henderson police chief and now Washoe, that there's just very heavy local criminal justice transparency issues happening. And so this is just to say that if you live in Washoe County, pay attention to it because it's something interesting. It is fascinating. Like there's this graph that shows that from 2018 to 2024, like January of 2024, criminal trials skyrocketed, but yet there's fewer convictions, but they skyrocketed. And so it's like, are you putting people through trial? And what's going on there? So it's just interesting.
We'll put the article in the chat. Take a look. Let us know what you think. We want to hear from you, especially if you live in Washoe.
Yeah, we want to know what's going on. What's the deal? Because there's sometimes, you can read an article, but unless you are there, you don't actually know what's going on.
100%.
So, yeah, let us know. That's what we got for local
Speaking
stuff.
of what's going on, let's go to UTF is going on in the world, where we unpack the headlines from Nevada and beyond. Maria, sweet Maria, you've listed all the articles. I don't even think I need them.
No.
Because I've been living the horrors. I've been living them. Let's go back. Let's go all the way back to last week, friends. Before Zelensky, who is the president of Ukraine, democratically elected president of Ukraine, not a dictator, because he ain't a dictator.
Mm-mm.
He is in a war, friends. Let's go back to when Putin's lapdog, Donald Trump, and J.D. Vance, and weirdly Marco Rubio sitting there pouting on the couch in the Oval Office, which was so weird.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing was weird, and the whole thing was a setup. But let's go back to when I was sitting at the legislative building on Friday, furiously texting you and my husband, oh my God, what is going on? UTF is going on. Take it from here, Maria.
Yeah. And meanwhile, I was in Honduras going, UTF is going on.
Okay, before we get into it, what did the people in Honduras have to say? Because they must be looking at us like we're freaking idiots.
So,
or they're scared, or like it's a fun mix of everything. What are they saying?
it is a real concern what is happening in the U.S.
Yeah.
Because countries like Honduras, regardless of who is president, have always received, yes, from USAID, lots of support, right? To actually have plans.
You mean the thing that USAID was supposed to do? Like give other countries support and help and feed poor people? Yeah,
like an actual peace organization. Like that is USAID's whole goal, was to promote culture, to promote infrastructure, to promote programs that build water systems, to promote different types of development of different professions. It's literally to help people and countries that don't have the resources. And if you know about Honduras, it is one of those. And now there's people that everyone that I met is just genuinely worried about that. They're also worried about what the effects of the deportations are going to have on their economy, because speaking of economies, lots of people would have families back home and they would send money back home. And that was a huge economic influx. And so now you've taken away 2 or more sources of revenue or support for infrastructure for a country. And this isn't, bullshit things like Musk and Trump say about like paying for celebrities to do this, to do that. No, general, actual programs that helped people, and also money, what it's called remesas in Spanish, to their family back home. And Central American and mostly Central American countries are worried about some kind of collapse.
Well, same.
Yeah. And if people are like, why should I care about that? A collapse, there is a collapse everywhere. And also, the thing about Central American countries and other Latin American countries is we get our resources from them, like our raw materials.
We're the ones who destabilized them in the first place. Let's not forget that part too.
And this is also why the U.S., many countries around the world are like, no, y'all do get to do USAID, because USA has been a country that has fucked over countries for years.
Over and over and over.
Destabilizing here, doing that, dictatorship over here, another dictator, like actual dictators over there. And my mom is talking about how they'll send guns to those literally that kind of war. We literally create wars. We might create a whole new one with Mexico, according to Heg's asshole in the defense.
Former Fox News host.
Yeah, alcoholic dude that works at the state
wife beater
or Department of Defense. Yeah, it is. People in Honduras are scared, but they also are. What the United States, what Trump doesn't understand is that Latin America this isn't their first rodeo of being fucked by the U.S.
Yeah.
They're just worried that it is like so, I guess, incompetent and confusing this time around.
And I think they're so used to us going down there and stirring the pot, right? But they see us as like stable and normal somewhat. And, like, that is, like, always the constant, right? It's like, well, the U.S. at least is still stable. We ain't stable anymore. Things are crashing down all around us at the federal level. There is no stability left. This is Putin's wet dream.
Yeah. No. There are people there that even before they wouldn't come here, like they would study here, professionals that I got to meet down in Honduras that would like study law school here, and they were like, it was okay, but you know, the healthcare access was terrible. So like I went to Spain, and you know, I would rather stay here or go to Spain than ever go back to the US. And it has only gotten worse, that idea of, well, the US isn't an option anymore.
I don't even want to be here.
Yeah, same.
Okay, so that's that in that context. So now we fast forward to Friday, our biggest WTF moment in a series of lots of WTF moments over the past few days. Donald Trump invites Zelensky to the White House. Zelensky shows up in his normal attire because he is literally fighting a fucking war. I don't expect him to wear a suit. I love that somebody went back and found Winston Churchill not in a suit, by the way, and was like, look, you dummies, this is what people do when they're real leaders. Anyways, so Donald, he gets out of the truck, and the first words out of Donald Trump's mouth is, oh, you could have dressed up for the occasion, says the man who, like, his suit doesn't fit him. Anyways, so cheeseburger blood, Donald Trump takes him in to the White House, sits him down with J.D. Vance and pouty-faced Marco Rubio, and they start to have a discussion that is all over the place, wild, crazy, and then Donald Trump starts yelling at Zelensky like he's a child and berating him like he's a child. Zelensky sticks up for himself, and his country, because it's a sovereign fucking country, friends, and says and keeps correcting the mis and disinformation coming out of Donald Trump's mouth, because he's like a Russian propaganda machine at this point. And Donald Trump doesn't like being corrected, and eventually it gets so heated, Donald Trump throws Zelensky out of the White House, which is insane. I am mortified. You are mortified. My husband is mortified. Anybody with a brain in America is mortified by this behavior by our president. Our president should be ashamed, not Zelensky. He didn't do anything wrong. It has solidified support for Zelensky in Ukraine in all of Europe and the world. Anybody who's sane, any countries who are sane in the world, I saw New Zealand, I saw all of them. Coming out in support of Ukraine. And the United States is like, nah, we're cool. We'll side with Russia. Go ahead, Maria. That's the context. Go ahead.
And we all fucking knew this was gonna happen. So if you're like...
but it's just, like, crazy to actually...
saying that to actually see it, it's like when you know something's coming and then you see it and you're like, holy shit, I didn't expect it would be that.
It's like when the deer like jumped over our car on that guardrail. Like I saw it coming and I was like, no, but you can't stop it, right? Like you just can't stop it. It's that huge car accident.
Yeah, the horror is still there. What I hate extra is dipshit Speaker Johnson that barely got that post is like, oh, he should resign
for sticking up for himself to a schoolyard bully.
Yep.
Absolutely not. That's what you do, is stick up for yourself when Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are schoolyard bullies. Absolutely not. No. It is none of our business what a sovereign country does with their government. It is none of our business.
No. It is fascinating to see that we are truly now a satellite country for Russia.
I saw Western Russia. That's our new name. The United States is Western Russia. Fucking idiots. We're so stupid. We deserve our remake.
We're really fucking stupid. My mom loves that name. It is so, like the Kremlin, I believe a day or two after said, our policies align more now with the U.S. Ronald Reagan is going to come back from the dead. And he's just going to be like, what the fuck is happening to you people? To all the... He's blowing up all the...
McCarthy! I go back to what we said in last week's episode. What happened to the Republican Party and McCarthyism to go all the way back to now you're communists. You're supporting communist Russia. What? Hypocrites.
Yeah.
Hypocrites.
It is so sickening. It is absolutely sickening. That
The part that got me the worst, though, and I really want to get your reaction to this. I don't know if you've even seen it because I know you were on the other side of the world, but did you see freaking Lindsey Graham? He was kissing the ring with Zelensky in the room with everybody, shaking his hand, telling him what a great job he did. And as soon as Donald Trump got done with that freaking meeting and threw Zelensky out and made the whole show, because it was an orchestrated show, everyone. This was 100% planned and 100% orchestrated. As soon as Donald Trump throws Zelensky out, Lindsey Graham comes walking out to do Trump's bidding and was like, "Oh, he's horrible. I take it back. We shouldn't support Ukraine anymore." What?
what
John McCain is rolling in his grave. John McCain is rolling in his grave. That's his friend. John McCain's ghost. Come get your friend.
my question for the entire fucking Republican Party, from Donald Trump down to your local dog catcher wherever you live, what do the Russians have on you? That
PB tapes.
as an entire party, you're just
PB
saying,
tapes.
"Yep."
I don't know. PB tapes.
But you're
That's all I can
literally
think
like,
of. I
Hail
don't get it.
Hail Putin.
Unless he is just financing the shit out of the Republican Party, which is possible at this point. I mean, anything's possible at this point. I don't put anything besides them. But I've seen a lot of shit. I've been doing this 20 years. You've been doing this 20 years. We've seen a lot of shit together. A lot of weird stuff, a lot of fucked up stuff. When my father texts me in the middle of a work day, what is happening at the White House right now? Because he's mortified and embarrassed, you know we got a problem.
Yeah. And since
The Lindsey Graham thing really particularly chapped my ass.
a question I have is, since when did the Republicans also hate people who fight wars?
They love wars. That's their whole thing. Republicans love war. They're warmongers.
Yeah, and maybe they hate this war because it's not one they helped create, and it was one that, like, Ukraine is actually...
They did kind of help
you know
create
what
it
I
because
mean,
they're
that
Russian sympathizers.
No, but that's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that, like, Ukraine and Europe didn't give in, right? And so they weren't part of the whole narrative from Ukraine. They were instead talking about diplomacy, talking about how we need peace now. I mean, they're starting to sound like a commie hippie. They are commie hippies now in the Republican Party.
They don't want peace. They want their minerals. They
They
don't want
literally just want
peace.
your minerals.
They want to give Putin whatever he wants. They don't want peace. Donald Trump wants a Nobel Peace Prize for stealing their minerals and giving Papa Putin whatever he wants. That's what he wants a Nobel Peace Prize for. That's not peace. That's not peace.
No.
That is Daddy Putin. Whatever Daddy Putin wants, Donald Trump gives him.
And what's even worse is that fast forward to tonight, he's just paused even more aid for Ukraine.
Of course he has.
And
I mean, again, we knew it was coming, but it's still horrifying to see it.
yeah, because this is truly a war of, first of all, it's an invasion, and Ukraine is fighting an invasion. It's not like Ukraine said, "Yeah, come on down, and we'll fuck you up." No, they single-handedly brought themselves into another country, and Ukraine said, "I'm sorry, no. You don't get to do that again for like the 18th time.
We don't want to be Russian. We've told you.
Literally
we don't want to be Russian. Ukrainians don't want to be Russian."
But my biggest takeaway is, I think that the next time Zelensky rolls around, he needs to bring Alexander Usyk and the Klitschko brothers with him. And just say, "You know what? I'm not going to be in the meeting. It's going to be these three guys. And you have fun.
Bully. Go ahead.
Bully these
Come
three
with
guys.
me. Come with me, comrades."
Yeah. Bully these three guys and see how far you get.
Okay.
I mean, It is so gross. It is absolutely disgusting to see that, but it is not surprising.
So while we were an international embarrassment, simultaneously, while we were an international embarrassment, there were several other things that occurred. Number one, I have to go off the list, but there's also some you missed. So we then today halted the aid to Ukraine. Trump says he's going to do the 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada on Tuesday, which by the time this airs, it'll already have happened. Good luck, good night. And then the Dow dropped nearly 650 points because our economy is going to crash because of this. But there were a few other things that you missed on here. Number one, South Carolina and various other southern states are literally on fire.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know if so. Huge wildfires ravaging those communities. I believe it was Myrtle Beach in South Carolina. Ravaging, similar to the way it happened in California. He was too busy at Mar-a-Lago, literally dancing on tables. I am not making this up. I am not being dramatic. Literally dancing, having a party at Mar-a-Lago while southern states were literally burning on fire. In what world is that okay? And if this were any other president, people would be jumping their shit. If this was Joe Biden, they'd be all over
that. If this was
them.
Obama, the most racist things would be said about him right now.
100%.
If have a black president, you would see.
And then on top of it, what really chaps my ass is Donald Trump telling them to turn on the spigot like he did California, wasting all that water for no reason? Is he telling them to rake their forests? Is he going to say it's because the Democrats caused this, even though natural disasters don't know party? So that happened over the weekend. We watched him dance on a table while states were literally burning to the ground. And then, on top of all that, you have the FDA canceling the meeting to start preparing for flu shots in the fall. That just kind of slipped under the radar because it happened on Friday while the Zelensky stuff was happening. You have a measles outbreak, which is out of control, and now RFK Wormbrains says, oh, maybe you should get the measles vaccine.
Well,
no
maybe
shit. No shit.
Motherfucker.
So, but you can't put that genie back in the bottle with the anti-vaxxers, which, by the way, we are not anti-vaxxers here, and you should absolutely get your vaccines if you can and if you're healthy enough to get vaccines. To round it all out, Israel and Hamas now has a standoff going on. And I heard today from a very reliable source in the building, who was just in D.C. last week talking to people about this, not only is the ceasefire in peril, Israel is talking about full-on invasion of Gaza. Full-on invasion. This will happen in like 4.5 days, 5 days. Missing stuff because I can't keep up with all of it, and I'm missing stuff.
Just hope all of the people that thought that either Biden or Harris were the same as Trump, especially on the last issue you mentioned, I just want them to get up, go to the mirror, and ask themselves, what the fuck did I do?
The day you voted for.
Because if you either voted other, didn't vote, whatever, or just said, voted Green Party, or voted for Trump because, you know, he knew some Middle Eastern people that were sellouts because he was never for Palestine at all. He's always been for Netanyahu and Putin because they're friends.
He literally tweeted an AI image of him and Netanyahu, and it's fake, but an AI image, the president of the United States tweeted, of him and Netanyahu laying on lawn chairs by the pool in what will be his Gaza resort once he, strips it free of all the Palestinians. What? How? First of all, how inappropriate is that? But second of all, what?
Yeah. No, this is and to those people that I hope you had a good look at yourself in the mirror and said, what did I do? Because this is what people warned you about. That he wanted, specifically on Gaza, that he, because of certain business interests, like wanting a Trump tower there and Joshua Kushner has been kind of basically saying these things, that's what him and the Trumps want to do, is flatten it and create just real estate opportunities, but not for the Palestinians, though, for their friends. Everyone saw this coming. And so the excuse that Harris or Biden were exactly the same, no. Now, would we have needed to push them more to maybe worse? But I would rather push them more than say Gaza could absolutely be flattened by tomorrow.
And here's the thing that most people don't understand about me and Maria. Like, we are not blindly loyal to the Democratic Party. I am not. She is not. We have called Democrats out just like we call Republicans out. In fact, we've probably held Democrats more accountable than Republicans, because I fundamentally believe our side needs to do a better job. And there's a whole host of things they need to do better on, including this issue with Israel, Hamas, and the Palestinians. They need to do better. They need to get their shit together. They need to have better talking points. Like, we need to stand up for people's rights. Absolutely. All of those things are true. But you know what the Dems wouldn't have done? Kicked all the people in Gaza out and invaded. They wouldn't have allowed that to happen. That just wasn't going to happen. They wouldn't have gone after Ukraine and said Ukraine is a dictatorship and they're the ones who started the war, which is a lie. A flat out lie. So those things internationally, this international embarrassment that we're currently living through, would not have happened. Just wouldn't have. They aren't perfect, but it wouldn't have happened.
Nope. Now we're going to get, 2 genocides at a time. Very publicly. There's many others that, of course, Trump isn't dealing with, and that we don't have a USAID or a State Department to truly help with, in places like Africa and other parts of the Middle East, or China, Russia. They do genocides every day. But now we have a president that's just going to allow all of them to happen all over the world at the same time. And he's just going to sit on the beach with a tiki drink.
Yep. God.
When I got into the U.S. from my trip to Honduras, if people have gone into the U.S. here at Harry Reid International Airport, you hear a message over the CBP area, Customs and Border Patrol area, that says all the instructions you need to follow, things like that. And then you hear, "Welcome to the United States." I never really paid attention to that. And I just, every time I heard that, as I waited for my luggage, I just audibly gasped, said, "That's fucking rich," rolled my eye. It was just, no, this isn't the place to be right now.
Switching topics, kind of. National chaos, but switching topics. I just want to read this headline that just came up because this is the reality we live in now. The FAA is investigating after several airliners on approach to land at Washington Reagan National Airport Saturday morning received what appeared to be false alarms from their onboard traffic collision avoidance system.
That's awesome.
So planes can't fly in the good Lord year of 2025. Misses are happening every day. We should definitely get them on Starlink, though. That's super reliable. We have Cybertrucks coming to Las Vegas as SWAT cars. We have drones flying over Las Vegas to surveillance us. And then on top of it all, we have international war looming because Donald Trump has basically wished World War III upon us. Did you ever think you'd live through all this? I think this is way more than a coup. This is an absolute just fall of a republic.
It absolutely is. Doge specifically is the coup because they're literally just taking out the government. But it's all part of And what's crazy is that many, many years ago, many people were like, the U.S. is on decline. It is. It doesn't realize that the Cold War was never over, that China's trying to compete with it, et cetera, et cetera. And now, because we have a dipshit for a president who is a KGB agent, the fall is actually occurring now. Before it is on the road to it. Now we are full speed ahead, 80 miles an hour.
I subscribed what AOC says, this, but she said maybe it wasn't that good to start with. Maybe it needs to burn and we need to start over. What we start over with, I don't know at this point. Maybe we should get a plan for that, but maybe we just let it burn at this point. Let the people have what they voted for.
It was, like my mom, the queen, told me, and then I told you a few days after Election Day of countries get what they deserve.
And they usually, democracies, these types of, empires, they run about 250 years, and we're coming up on that, folks. So maybe it was time.
Although, not the Mediterranean ones. We all ran a little bit longer because, we're really good.
And then we collapsed and we restarted. I don't know if we're going to restart, though, because we're real
We're not gonna
dumb.
restart.
We're very dumb. The dumbest.
I'm sorry.
I go back to, you look at this list. I mean, that list is ridiculous, and we added to it, right? How do you look at this list and be like, yeah, Donald Trump's still great?
And
I didn't think that to begin with. We already lived 4 years of this, and now it's worse. It's worse.
And your grocery prices are no lower. They're higher, actually.
They're going to be
going up.
And the tariffs are going to make them even worse.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're going to be paying it. Americans will be paying those tariffs, friends.
And and those Medicaid cuts, don't say that, oh, I have insurance, it won't affect me.
Absolutely. It's going to impact all of us. The cost of healthcare is going to go through the roof. Every single thing you own is going to go through the roof.
Yeah.
God.
And have fun. And have fun going to Mexico for your healthcare, everyone.
If I were them, I'd turn them and Canada, I'd turn us away.
Denied.
Be like, you voted for this shit. You get what you get now. Before we go off this topic, just 2 fun facts that I thought you'd really appreciate. Our dear friend Ryan Hamilton, who ran against our actual friend, Commissioner Mike Naff. I found out this week he's gone to work for the dismantling of the Kennedy Center. Literally like Doge in the Kennedy Center. He went to work to do that.
Jesus.
Second person I heard that went to go work for Doge and the whole Project 2025 nonsense is Nick Vanderpool. I know people who are literally helping to dismantle the government, and good things. Wild time to be alive, friends. Wild time to be alive in Nevada politics.
You're a piece of shit when you think Kennedy Center is worth we gotta get rid of it.
What did the arts ever do to anybody?
They do to you. Tell us where on the doll they touched you.
You know what's crazy? And that's the thing is, like, that's when it really starts to get, like, Nazi-ish, right? Because that's the shit that the Nazis did, right? They didn't stop at the government. They took out the arts. They took out culture. They took out all those things. So people who are like, oh, this isn't like the Nazis, my ass, it's
totally like the Nazis. It's like when the literal Nazis went to our countries in the South, like France and Italy, and said, no more with the fashion. No more with the looking pretty. You're all supposed to look ugly like us.
And my grandparents were like, deuces, we're out. We gotta go. And came here. And now I want to go back.
But that's literally what they went for. And that's when things got really, really scary. When there's a series that the Queen and I watched a while back around Balenciaga, Spanish designer who was in France. And they go through when the Nazis went in and they actually went to like the guild, the union of designers, because they have a union. So French, so European. And they told them that like they all had to go to Germany and like do specific things. Like they started bossing around the designers and everyone just kind of like stopped living. And that's what actually happens when you go after this stuff. You just stop living. That's not cool.
I just read something. I'm sorry. I think I can read it on here. I think it's a fitting end to this segment. Fun fact. A blue whale's anus can stretch approximately 3.5 feet, making it the second largest asshole on the planet after Donald Trump. And with that, we can end this segment.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're in the hot takes and headaches section, Maria, where we can vent about anything and everything. What's on your mind today?
After this conversation, it is hard to say. But my biggest hot take is Trump is a Russian agent, Agent Krasnov, look it up. He's not his own boss. His boss is a short, stocky man with bad Botox in the Kremlin.
Daddy Putin!
Putin. Yeah, and if you don't think that's true, look it up. Like, there's actual ex-KGB people that are like, oh yeah, since the 80s, he's been basically our guy.
My hot take this week, and I've been saving this for the end, is the fact that nobody comments on Elon Musk walking in jeans and a fucking t-shirt that reads whatever nonsense it reads, and a weird hat, a literal baseball cap, looking like he's some, like, goth weirdo off the street.
Hey,
Into the cabinet meeting. Why is Elon Musk going to keep...
Goths don't claim him. Elvira,
Fair.
the queen of the night,
Oh, yeah.
is like,
No more.
She
was like, goodbye, Tesla. Goodbye.
Mobile. And she does
Useless.
have a Make America Goth again hat, which I would love to get.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Maybe
yeah.
for Christmas. I mean, if we still have, like, access to things with, you know, an economy. But I thought the juxtaposition of having Zelensky and Elon back to back. You have Elon Musk walking into a cabinet meeting in jeans and a t-shirt and a baseball hat. And then the very next day, you have the fucking audacity to look at a man who is a war hero, who is brave, who knows so much more about the world than Donald Trump ever will. And you have the audacity to look at him and be like, oh, I'm glad you dressed up for the occasion. No. Also, Donald Trump, that's our house. That's not your house. We own that. The taxpayers own that. We should doge your ass out of there.
That's right. Yeah, doge that house. Doge the decor, the horrible decor.
Yeah. All those gold frames that are in there.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's disgusting.
That was my hot take this week. I was just like, ugh.
Yeah. Fucking hypocrisy.
Again, it's so... How do people not see? This is the Kremlin talking. This is Russia talking. With his little puppets, J.D. Vance and Trump. This is the Kremlin talking out of their mouths. This is all Russian propaganda and talking points. That's all this is. And if you can't see that, you're not paying attention. I'm getting hot. I'm getting angry. I'm so angry and embarrassed all week.
No, but really. Yeah.
So that's my hot take and that's my headache. Stupid.
Mm-mm.
I will say thank you to the people of Vermont for running J.D. Vance out of town. You are heroes. I appreciate you protesting his ski trip. Solidarity. We will do the same when they come here.
Not all heroes wear capes, but they wear ski helmets.
They do wear, I was going to say, they do wear snow boots.
My favorite sign was J.D. Vance skis and jeans. It's like, oh, that's a burn.
My favorite was when they were saying that J.D. Vance is a traitor and should go ski in Russia.
But, probably nobody wants to ski in Russia.
Pride myself on knowing much about Russia.
I mean,
I try and stay away from dictatorships, even though I live in one now. I laugh so I don't cry.
Exactly.
All right, the final bell before we go. What's your mic drop moment of the week? What are you most proud of this week? What's something happy? Let's end on a happy note, Maria. What's something good?
We haven't.
Joy.
Oh, we haven't even there's been so much shit. We haven't even talked about what non-political things are in our lives. What are we doing? My favorite thing is I am reading a book and is one about Clytemnestra, queen in ancient Greece. She was married to Agamemnon. She's the one that killed him. As a woman, we talked about this last week. I love that a story of a woman that was damned by history for taking revenge on the motherfucker that killed her first husband and child and then forced to be married to him. I love that there is a story about her, about her written by a woman, and you actually get to see what it is that drove her to do what she did, and that she was a fucking badass. And like we were talking about last week with Akiko, women that actually are passionate and stand up for themselves and get called angry, but if men do the same thing, they are leaders, they are strong. But
what
we
do they
do
call
the
us?
same shit,
mean?
and it's
You and I are mean?
Mean. No.
Yeah, that's us.
The world is mean, okay?
Spare me. Just fucking spare me at this point. Let's see. What are two of my favorite things that have happened? Well, on Friday, KUNR, our friend Lucia Starbuck, did a profile piece on me about coming up to session and trying to find housing and what it's been like for me trying to find housing and my little house that's here in Carson City and how it's decorated. It's just super fun, but also just like my story of how long I've been in this work for 20 years this year. It's my 10th regular session. God only knows how many specials I've been through. And like, it was really fun to kind of, I've never done a story about me. I don't know. That's just not what we do. We usually are talking advocacy. So that's coming out. I'm super stoked about it. Lucia is an amazing journalist. I love her to death. She's a strong female powerhouse journalist that's often covering Nevada politics. If you don't follow her, you should. She's awesome. I think we'll have her on the show one day. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's doing like a little profile pieces on a few lobbyists and like what we have to do to like move up here from Vegas and like what we have to do when we're up here and getting stuff. She even took a picture of the Maggie Carlton little like hot mitts I got for Maggie Carlton. So like it'll be fun. I'm excited for people to see it. That was one of my fun things. And then my other fun thing that I did this week, it's not really fun, it's more practical. I hung my curtains in my bedroom and I don't have light coming in. So success is mine.
Yay. You know, it's interesting that we're celebrating that, because when I was in Honduras, that was the other awesome thing. And I work sort of in politics. It's very specific. And I got to hang out with some awesome people, and one of them said, life is really hard. And she said, lo pequeño es hermoso. The small things are beautiful. And so celebrate the small things in this really shitty world. And so I think that reminds me of that yeah, fuck yeah, you hung your curtains. It's a win.
But it's a win. And in this world, we'll take it. So we're going to go out with our wins. So thank you, Maria. I think that's our time for today for 1 Minute Recess. You want to take us out?
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And remember that we are on all the audio podcast platforms out there. So please rate and review on whichever one you are listening to. Share with your friends. And if you want to stay in the loop with us, stay in contact, all of our social medias and contact information are in the description for this show. And let us know what you think. And don't forget to follow to stay in the loop with us so that you can catch some snippets of these episodes on our social media.
And we're also this week going to add the link for the newsletter. So if you want to sign up to get more updates from us as session really starts ramping up now that we're in March and April, get all the updates on like grassroots lobby days and other lobby days that are coming up in Carson City, or just stay in the know about things and, listen to me and Maria talk shit more. We will also be including the newsletter sign up. So please sign up for that now. All right, Maria, take it away.
Yes, sign up for everything. And remember, we'll be back next week with whatever the hell is going to happen between now and maybe, hopefully there's a next week for all of us, and we'll talk about what's going on, all things in the world and in Nevada. So remember to stay sharp, stay sassy, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone. Have a good week.